Hello there, YouTube. This is Chief Jeef with Calico Adventures, here with the other members of CRR for our second Campfire Tales, where we go around and we tell stories that have either happened to us or to someone else, first or second hand accounts. Last episode, you got to hear from me, Wolf, and Murphy, but we didn't get to hear anything from Rabbit. So this episode is the Rabbit special, cooked over an open flame. So Rabbit, what was your first experience within either cryptids or the paranormal?
So check it out. I'm gonna give you a little bit of my background for the people. There are plenty of people who have been wondering just a little bit of my background, other than my generalized location. I did 12 years with the Army as a 19th Delta Cavalry Scout. I deployed in 2013 to Afghanistan, and we did some fighting and some stuff, and I got hurt. Came home, and we did some medical things, and I did some Bradley stuff, and then I am now out and a civilian. But that entire time, I was with the Army National Guard. So I was home most of the time and experiencing cryptid stuff. Now, send me your questions.
Well, first of all, I didn't get to say this last time, but Chief, Rabbit, I want to say thank you guys, both of you, so much for your service. You went above and beyond for this country, and I appreciate the both of you.
100.
Now, that said, Rabbit, what is your earliest experience with cryptids?
All right, so what I can remember is so long ago. Like I'm talking early memory. We were out in the fields. We have family has huge farmland, and we were out. They were disking the fields, and down in the lower holler, I seen what I thought was in my little child mind was a monkey running through the bottom of the field down there in the corn. And I turned and I asked my uncle, I was like, "Hey, what's that monkey doing?" And he looked and he seen it running, and he said, "That ain't no monkey, boy. That's just Bigfoot." And he kept on disking, and pretty much that set the tone for me that these things are just here, and I shouldn't pay them much of mind. And we have had so many experiences here, and anytime I ask any of my folks about it or anything, they always go, "Oh well, that's just what this is," and that's always how it's always been for here and for me. It's just these things are a thing, and I'm not 100% what they are, but as far as we know, we believe that they're real. We see them; they're there.
Just as casual as can be. It's like, oh, that's just the neighborhood Bigfoot. That's just Carl.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hunting out in the hollers my whole life, and we just we see different things, and if it's something new that I ain't seen before, I come home and I ask my elders, and they normally have an answer to what it is. They're not incredibly forthgoing about everything, but if I ask specifically what something is, they will tell me.
Now, you've mentioned in the Discord a few times something called a hide behind. Do you want to elaborate on that? Like, explain it a little better?
So we can talk about what we think hide behinds are. Gee whiz. Actually, over on my YouTube channel, Mississippi Milsurp, I did a whole special on the hide behind. But I can get a little deeper on here about it.
Yeah, maybe start out just kind of a general what is a hide behind, and then you can dive into what it's believed that they are.
Cool. All right. Yeah. A hide behind. Uh, it's generally just this figure that appears in the woods, and it comes out, up over a ridge from behind a tree. up over a hill behind a lump of soil, just popping out behind something, and as if it is hiding. It never really presents its entire body, and you see it. You can look dead at it sometimes, and it'll look dead right back at you. You don't really have eyes, but then it goes back behind whatever it was leaning out, and it kind of beckons you to go see, what was that? Was it a person over there? And especially when you're out in a hunting party or you're camping, and one of your buddies has done went and take a leak, or he's the last one. We got 4 out of 5 guys waiting here at the hunting camp, uh, and then you see this thing peek out behind a tree. What's that? Is that Tommy Joe? And you want to go over there and see why is he hiding behind the tree? And that's when a hide behind is supposed to snatch you up. When you go back there, you get behind it, and it'll reach out and get you, and you go behind the tree, and there ain't no holler, there ain't nothing. You just gone.
So you've lost people to these things.
Well, not me personally, but my family has stories of people in the logging teams originally when we came. I mean, we're talking, gosh, way before the Civil War. We're talking when we settled it down in here. The Elam family came in, and they were clear cutting everything, and that's when it first started up. When they first started seeing these things, and they kind of look like a person, but they either pale or dark, depending on if it's early in the morning or late in the evening, what color they are. Um, and when they first saw them, they thought they were natives. They were First Nation, is what they thought they were. And they didn't really pay them no mind. They just thought they were Choctaws or something that was trying to figure out what these white folks was doing, coming here and cutting all these giant, beautiful trees down.
So, do you think there's some kind of like guardian spirit of the forest or something?
Oh Lord, no. No. We hit them. We shot them. We ain't killed none, but you can shoot them. They're physical, whatever they are. They uh. So originally, what happened is them loggers, they'd go out, and they wouldn't come back. They'd be one go out a little further, or whatever, go take a leak, or he'd just be cutting further, and then everybody's back at camp or back in a generalized location. They're looking around, hey, somebody's missing. They go looking, and they find his saw, or they find his equipment or whatever out there, but they ain't never find him. And they figured, well, that was First Nation must have grabbed him. That was the original. Now after the First Nation stopped, it ain't that no more after the Civil War and stuff, and still cutting, still logging, it's still happening. And that's when they're starting thinking, something's going on. We need to start bringing our guns out here. We need to start not going out like this. And it wasn't, a drastic amount of people. I'm talking in the 50 years, we're talking 5, 6 people went missing. It wasn't enough to cause super alarm, but it's happening in the same place over and over. Well, they started bringing them guns out, and eventually they, saw them down there picking out behind a tree, and they started letting rounds out, and they couldn't ever hit them. And through the years, what it was told to me, they got bigger guns, and buffalo gun or an elephant gun was the first one. It was a buffalo gun, a plains rifle, maybe is what they said. And they shot the tree the thing was hiding behind, and they heard a loud scream, and they went back there to see, get the body, and it wasn't a body. It was just like this gray, brownish, slick, snotty mud everywhere, and anybody who touched it got real sick. And after that, it was just told to everybody, don't touch it. You get sick if you touch it. So nobody ever touch it. That's what was told to me. If you shoot one, because these modern weapons, you see one out there, you can shoot it. 8mm Mauser cut through a 10-inch tree. You can hit it, and you just don't touch that mud. And I've been probably 4 or 5 times in my life I've shot at them and hit them at least twice.
So, do you think cryptids, not just hide behinds, but like creatures as a whole, are dangerous?
Not particularly. I know that the hide behinds, the reason they do what we're doing is because we're in there, and if we stay out of that holler, don't nobody go missing. So it's not like they're coming out into the urban areas and snatching folks up. We don't have really reports of urban Bigfoots breaking into houses. Yes, breaking into houses that live out there, in the middle of nowhere. but not breaking into Chicago houses. They're not coming into our area to hurt us. I think they're not that dangerous. If we go out there, they'll hurt us, but if we don't get in their area, they ain't gonna mess with us.
So respect their space and they'll leave you alone, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I believe they're real. They're something. I can't tell you exactly what they are, but they out there.
Murphy, did you have any questions? You've been awful quiet.
You saw a Raven Mocker too, didn't you?
Lord, so that's what I figure. Hold on.
What's a Ravenbacher?
It's a shiny type Bigfoot, is what it is. It's some kind of Sasquatch, but it does special things. It's got a little extra lore added to it. They're usually say blackish hair instead of most of the ones we got around here red. I just call them swamp apes. That wasn't what they were called originally, but after that Florida person started calling them swamp apes, now they just swamp apes. But they're black, and sometimes they say they got feathers. I don't know if they got feathers. I think it's just because they're really clean and they have feathery black hair and it looks like feathers. But they make a noise like a crow or like a raven, and that's why they're called Raven Mockers. It's pretty simple. And we dogs was out there barking, doing their alert bark, not their casual. There's an armadillo over there at the pond dam bark. Like, hey, there's somebody over there trying to poach fish bark. Something. I was like, yeah, I better get up. I better go see what they're barking at because they're postured out at the edge of the property. They have, tails up, ears up, razor back. They're like, hey, there's a threat. All right, let's go see what this threat is. I get up, grab old Chicago typewriter, grab my super duper, 60 million Swiss Tech flashlight. Got a bunch of them. You got to turn night into daylight. I go out, keep the light off, go to the edge of the property where the dogs bark, and I listen. And as soon as I get up there to the edge of the property, I'm like, whoa, I spooked a crow. That's the first thought I had. There's a crow roosting right here, and I just walked up, and he's like, oh, shit. That's what happened. And so I turned that light on, blast it forward, and it's loud as hell, too, and it's about 12 feet off the ground. So that's crow perch, yeah, he's right there. That's what it is. I turned the light on. I scared the piss out of him with his light. He's right there. And I'm scanning the light trying to look across to where the pond dam is, and this is a good 175 yards. I'm just looking to see some movement, hopefully, and see if it warrants me getting any closer because I'm not really wanting to do anything. But I'm scanning with the light. I'm looking, and all of a sudden, this big, dark, of course it's dark, but it didn't have no other reflectiveness to it. It wasn't a light color. It was a dark color mass. Turns and goes running away, and it's going boom, 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 footsteps. It's bipedal. There is no other, it was not running on fours. It was boom, 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 heavy footfalls hitting, and I can't see it through the brush because it's just down in this little pine thicket, and it's about to get into a fire break, and I'm going to see it when it gets through this fire break. That's 20 feet or 25 feet of fire break, clean cut, no trees, no underbrush, nothing. I'm going to see it when it crosses this. It's making a beeline to us. So I put that light right there, and it goes boom, boom, boom. Pause. I see a flash through that 25 feet. Boom. Other side, it lands, tears off, keeps going. And I'm going, well, that wasn't no person. No person can jump no 25 freaking feet like that and clear it in a dash. You know what I'm saying? And it landed like a freight train. It landed like somebody just threw a Mercedes down there in the holler. So now I'm going, uh-oh, that ain't no person. This is something I need to let know that it don't need to be around here. I instinctively pick up that Chicago typewriter and I start typing it a letter. I type it about a 25 round letter and I stop. The rounds, quiets down in the holler. I don't hear nothing. And then way deep on back in there, I hear that. Golly. So I go ahead and raise the elevation up, type it another 15 round letter just to let it know it doesn't need to come back around. And we believe that was probably a Raven Mocker.
And it hasn't been back since.
No, it came back. It came back twice. So, deep off in another holler. I don't know how to explain this. Instead of it ran to the right holler and going to the left holler, there's a place where folks and where a lot of the community take our butchered cattle. Whenever we're done, we stripped it down and it's just these big bones, the rib cages and the skulls and such. We take it with the tractors out here to this central location. It's a big field where we put it. Well, of course, my dogs, coyotes, every predator and every critter in the valley is going to go to that boneyard, right? I mean, that's also
Right.
where we take our deer and everything else. And we do it this way to let the vultures come over there and eat and everything else, and to let the scavengers go over there. And it's away from everyone else's house, is what I'm saying. It's very far away from everyone. That's why we do this. Well, the dogs.
Keeps
Sometimes-
the critters at bay.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps them away from us. It helps keep them away. Well, my dogs, they'll get a wild hair on their butt, or maybe they're bored, or I ain't gave them enough scrap. Maybe I ain't harvested a cow in a couple months, or especially in the summer times when this happens. And I sure ain't shoot no deer. They ain't getting no deer scraps. All the deer scraps is done chewed up. They got old bones from deer season. And if I'm lucky, we getting out there and chasing down some hogs, but they ain't too partial to hog bones. So they'll go visit the boneyard to go get them some cow knuckles, more or less, is what they go get and bring back. And so I'll get worried about them because sometimes they like to just hang out. They don't just go on a mission to go out there and get hog knuckles and then come back, because it's a good 2 miles away. And I'd say probably 3 miles going up and down through the hills, through the woods to actually get there, not a straight shot. So I'll get worried and I'll go look for them. And I'll get real worried sometimes, and I won't think about my own safety. I'll think about their safety. Well, one of the times that it's getting late, they ain't home. I'm going, Lord, they ought to be home. And I called, and I fed, and we still got half the crew out. Well, let's say 45 minutes till dark. I'm hitting the trail. I know where they at. I know that more likely where they are. Let's go. So I'm going out, and this particular time, I'm in gym shorts, flip flops, and old t-shirt. No cell phone, no gun, no flashlight, nothing. All right, I can make 3 miles in 15 minutes, no problem. So I'm going to get my dogs. So I'm going at a pretty good gait. I wouldn't say I'm running, but I'm trotting. And as I'm trotting, I've got about 1.5 miles in. I'm about halfway to the bone pit. I'm going past some ponds. I get past the ponds, going up a little bit further, and I'm getting in to some old growth. And my heart rate's up now. So my heart's pounding in my ears. My blood pressure's pounding in my ears, and I'm hearing it. And but all of a sudden, in between that heartbeat, I'm hearing something else. I'm going, oh, wait a minute, that's not my blood pressure. Like I'm hearing, like off to the right, and I'm hearing that, and I instinctively stop because I'm going, it's one of my dogs. They're just seeing me running, and they're trying to catch up, going, hey, hey, what are we running toward? What we doing? And that's what I think. Stop. And I turn to my right and look into the woods, expecting to see one of my dogs, running at a V-line, trying to head me off, catch up, hey, what we doing? And that ain't what I see. I just see a big, dark figure, 12, 14. I mean, he's tall. He's tall up there, and it's black, but it's in this old growth, so it's getting dark, so I can't really tell you if he was black or if he was just in silhouette, in shadow. But it stops, and it's looking right at me, and I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it was 120 yards into these woods, and looked like a big old man in a ghillie suit, maybe, or is it Sasquatch? But I mean, I look at it, and he's looking at me, and it's just like that Kanye song. I looked at him, and he looked at me. And it felt like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes. It's probably only about 30 seconds. Just staring at this thing. And I turned and I'm like, well, I got shit to do. And I think I'm seeing shit. So I turn and I continue to go up the hill, and I keep looking over my right. It ain't moved, right where we locked eyes. It's standing right there. I'm like, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. It's not, I'm just seeing a pile of logs or something is what I'm looking at, or there's a log, that's what
and it didn't give chase or nothing.
Well, I'm getting there. I get up that hill. That's what I'm thinking to myself. It didn't move. I didn't hear it move. It stayed right there. I was like, all right, that's what it was. And that was my heartbeat going on that I was hearing. So I get up there to the bone pit, and I get up the bone pit, and the bone pit's in this big field, this big opening in the trees where it's been cut for, I don't know, 100 years. It's like a big pasture. I go out there, and I'm running. I'm at a gate still, and I'm about to turn the corner, expecting to see my dogs, over here in these bones. And I turn, and there ain't no dogs over there. Back there behind where the dirt mound where we occasionally push with the bulldozer to, push the old stuff back. There's the shoulders and head of what I'd have to say was that critter that stopped and was staring at me, and all of a sudden I don't know if you want to call it math, but the way I ran, all right, was up. I ran up a hill and then made a big dog leg, and essentially when I got to the top of the hill, I was running the opposite direction of that field on the trail, and then the trail button hooks and turns back around on top of the hill, and on top of that hill you run into that valley. So what I just realized is that thing, no, it hadn't chased me. It wasn't running with me. It had stopped right there because I had crossed its path. And it just ran across right there behind me after I'd carried on, and it made a straight line back to the back of where those bones are. For it to run over there wouldn't have took it 3 minutes to get there. What took me 5-10 minutes to make that loop, it only took it 2-3 minutes to go clear through the woods. And here it is just staring at me. From the other side of them bones, and I don't know, reality set in. I was like, well, that wasn't logs. That thing's definitely moving like left to right, and I don't know if it was mimicking me, because what I was doing was moving my head left to right, like trying to like what's going on, like see it from a different angle. But no, it was pretty much just like a Sasquatch looking thing looking at me with the bare face and everything. And I backpedaled. It stayed right there, and I backpedaled out of that field. And again, remember I said no gun, no phone, no light, nothing. It's getting real dark. The sun is setting. I'm on the trail 15-20 minutes now. I backpedal back, and I get to the mouth of the trail. It never moved. It just kept looking at me, head and shoulders. And I got to where it bottlenecked around, and I was like, well, I can run back down here where I know good and dang well if it wants to, we can run down there in the holler, snatch me up, and I'm gone. Or I can run these 15 miles back over here to the road, get on the main road, and run back to the house. Well, that's what I'd done, and it took me about 45 minutes to get back to the house because I didn't have no light, and I was having to look straight up. There ain't no lights out here, so I was having to look straight up, and as the light was fading out of the sky to actually, run home. But I ran all the way back to the house and pretty much collapsed into the yard, breathing hard, and that was the second experience was what I would think is the Ravenmocker.
Interesting.
I think it was more.
So
Go ahead.
For closing remarks, basically your upbringing and the location you live in and all that is what got you into this, made you curious about these undocumented creatures that may or may not exist.
Oh, what happened is I went to school and started talking about what I thought was regular stuff, and the people at school were like, huh? No, that's made up. And I was like, huh? What? I know, I've seen it. When I'm like in kindergarten now. All right, so no, that's what happened. Okay. Is that it was just a regular part of life, and then I found out through regular society that most people don't believe in it.
Well, it makes sense.
Final question about the Ravenmocker. That encounter with the one as you're heading to the boneyard. Do you think it was just curious? Like, what's this thing doing out here at this time of night?
We don't have time for it tonight, but that was the second encounter with the Ravenmocker. If anyone liked hearing my rambling where I go off like a crazy redneck, put down in the comments, hit that like button, hit subscribe, share this around with your friends. Say, listen to this Big Boy Rabbit story, and you can hear the third encounter with the Ravenmocker, where it gets a little more violent.
And don't forget to check out our coffee. That's ko-fi.com/CRR actual. And Murphy, do you want to send us out with a few words? You've been awful quiet.
You do it.
All right. Then that's going to be our show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.